This is our 7th week of exploring the book, An Altar in the World, A Geography of Faith, by Episcopal priest Barbara Brown Taylor. In it, she makes the claim that there is no way to God apart from real life in the real world. And so she offers 12 ordinary practices to help us deepen our awareness of the holy and connect with God on a daily basis. We have already explored the practices of waking up to God or vision, paying attention or reverence, wearing skin or incarnation, walking on the earth or groundedness, getting lost or wilderness, encountering others or community, and living with purpose or vocation. This week, we have the practice of saying no or Sabbath. I have to confess that saying no and Sabbath didn't sound very connected to me. I could understand how paying attention is linked to reverence and how living with purpose is similar to vocation. But what do saying no and Sabbath have in common? Well, the word Sabbath comes from the Hebrew Shabbat, which means to rest. And in practicing Jewish households, Shabbat is the weekly opportunity to break from the busyness of the rest of the week, to gather with family and friends, to eat and give thanks. In the Shabbat ritual, 2 candles are lit at sundown on Friday night. The 2 candles are 2 reminders of the places in the Torah, in the law, where the commandment to keep the Sabbath are found. Exodus 20, 8-11, which roots the Sabbath in the Genesis story of creation, and Deuteronomy 5, 12-15, which roots Sabbath keeping in the story of the Exodus. Barbara Brown Taylor observes that these 2 candles then symbolize rest and freedom. The Shabbat ritual also includes prayers of thanksgiving over the candles for the gift of Sabbath, and prayers of thanksgiving over the challah bread and over the cup of wine or juice. It is an acknowledgement that everything comes from God, including this gift of time. The idea of Sabbath isn't only a weekly gift to human beings. In the Torah, there is a commandment to give the land a Sabbath every cycle of 7 years. 6 years you can work the land, and in the 7th you must let it lay fallow. The Sabbath cycle even goes on further to a concept of Jubilee, that after 7 times 7 years, there is an obligation to free slaves, to forgive debts, and to restore property to its original owners. God builds into earthly life these cycles of work and rest, of obligation and freedom, once every 7 days, once every 7 years, and then once every 7 times 7 years. The connection then between Sabbath keeping and saying no is that Sabbath time is a time to let go of one's usual responsibilities and to just be. It is a reclaiming of one's self-worth based in relationship with God, not based in usefulness or productivity or consumption. In a way, it is a big no to the culture we find ourselves in, which demands proof that we are worthy through our jobs, our status, what we can purchase, or who we are connected to. Sabbath reminds us that God is already delighted with us and loves us, and that should be the grounding for our sense of self. Now, the Matthew passage assigned for today isn't the one I would have picked to demonstrate the theme of Sabbath or saying no, but it is appropriate for a number of reasons. The scripture reading today is about Jesus' instructions to the 12 as he sends them out into the community to have a kind of practice run at preaching and demonstrating the kingdom without him being there with them. And if you look closely, his instructions are all about a balance between yes and no. Yes, you should go forth, go into other communities, places you've never seen. But no, not to everyone. Right now, just to the Jewish community. That's your first audience. Yes, you should give to the people you meet, give healing, give teachings, give love. But no, don't take any money, don't give money, don't even bring any money. Yes, take what you need for the day in terms of clothing and supplies. No, don't take anything extra. Yes, rely on the kindness of strangers and bless those who welcome you in. But no, don't expect everyone to receive you. And if they won't, shake it off and leave. I actually love this passage because in it Jesus reminds his disciples that just because they're on a mission from God doesn't mean that they will always be what we call successful or be received as they should be. There will be those who don't welcome them, don't listen to them, don't agree with them. And it's not their job to keep hounding them, to try to change their mind, to try to be better at their job in the hopes that things will turn around. No. Rejection is a part of life, Jesus seems to be teaching them, and the best that one can do is observe, reflect, and respond. If you are received, then bless the house you find yourself in, and stay there the whole time you are in that town. Invest in that relationship. If you are rejected, then literally shake the dust off of your feet and walk away. Don't let the dust of that town or its rejection of your message cling to you. Just keep going. This epic assertion of healthy boundaries, I shake off the dust of this town, is a powerful reminder that saying no can be as good for the soul as saying yes. And sometimes it's the healthiest choice. Sometimes I need to walk away from what isn't working, from a job, from a relationship, from a habit or choice that I thought would work better for me. Sometimes saying no gives me time to reflect and to get to know myself better. Barbara Brown Taylor says that Sabbath is the great equalizer, the great reminder that we do not just live on the earth, but in it, that we are part of a web of life that has been blessed by God, just as we have been. Livestock, land, plants, they all have biblical rights too and deserve their rest. This is so contrary to the machinery of consumerism that says that if there's money to be made, then rest and fallow land is a sin, or at least a waste. Businesses must get bigger every year. Profits must be made. Economies must grow. Such is the measure of our success as a nation. And yet, a growing economy can just mean that more people are in debt, or that a natural disaster happened and we're trying to rebuild, or that a war is on and we're producing weapons. We need measures that look at quality of life for us, for our neighbors, and for the natural world. Saying no is a practice that can help us recognize our limits and be grateful for them. It can help us remember that we are not God and that we need rest. We need a break from our work. We need simple pleasures and worship and beauty and self-love. But choosing to take Sabbath time, choosing to say no, can be difficult. When we are used to being constantly busy, a day off can feel endless, even scary. Barbara Brown Taylor says that most people she knows want to talk about why it is just impossible for them to practice Sabbath time. And she suggests an interesting spiritual exercise for them and for us. She suggests making two lists. On one side of a paper, she says, list all of the things that you know give you life, but that you never seem to take time to do. Then on the other side, make a list of all the reasons why is impossible for you to find the time to do those things. And that's it. That's the whole list-making practice. That's all there is to it. Just make the two lists, she says, and then keep the paper where you can see it. And also, she says, promise not to shush your heart when it howls for the list it wants. Friends, we can start small with Sabbath moments and Sabbath hours and work up to Sabbath days. It can inform the rest of our life if we let it. The commandment to keep the Sabbath day holy is not for God's benefit, it's for ours. To remind us that our existence is enough, that we are beloved for who we are and not what we do. And to remind us that we are called to freedom, freedom from whatever binds us or weighs us down. When we say no, even to good things, we assert our biblical right to simply be and to rest in the God who is already pleased with us. May you find moments of Sabbath and opportunities to say no so that you can find spaciousness and time to simply be and know you are loved. May it be so for you and for me.